Hello and welcome to my Comprehending Consciousness series. My name is Allie with A. Marie Speaks, and I have created this series here as a quick threshold or maybe starting line for people who are new to the conscious community or the New Age or maybe spiritual world in general. I'm hoping these trying to keep them, trying my best to keep them around 15 to 20 minutes on these sort of broad iceberg topics, which are really commonly thrown around sort of in the New Age community, and some of them even in the mainstream these days, right? Like woke or, red pill to sleep. All of these terms are starting to really permeate to the upper levels, the upper echelon here. It's really exciting to see, and more people are waking up, right? And so this is another thing that's kind of geared me into making this series here, is because there is a lot more people who are curious, and maybe they hear these terms thrown around and only get one sort of perspective from them. So I really want to open it up and be sure that as we're waking up, we're remembering to not just jump out of one box and into another, right? That's not the point. The point is opening all the boxes, seeing what we have, taking them all out, allowing examination, right? Encouraging honest examination, discussion, dissections of what is true and what is there, right? So really that's what the New Age, the conscious community, the underlying message and theme always is an open acceptance of honest scrutiny and honest examination of things that are in our reality. So with that in mind, today's episode is episode 13, and I'm going to be talking about light workers. This term is another kind of fluffy term that I feel is a lot like that Mother Earth woke kind of avenue, right? It's been very hijacked and intentionally has a lot of trash thrown at it to sort of deter people initially from ever even thinking that there's real depth and quality available in that term, right? So when we talk about light workers, a lot of people, just like love and light, it can just be kind of like thrown like sparkles or glitter. People just think it's a topping. It's just there for looks, right? It's pretty. It's sparkly. And it's actually the total opposite, in fact. It just looks like that from the outside because it really is full of positivity, and it really does feel great to embody light work and to recognize your role as a light worker. And so that's why I think a lot of people get wrapped up in the persona of it or the effects of it, and then it gets written off, kind of, like the pretty head cheerleader who maybe is actually really smart underneath, and but just gets written off as like as a ditz and dumb and just for show and for looks because we have so many. I'm not even going to get wrapped up into because of why these things happen, and because another topic, right? Trying to keep these centered and 15 minutes. So light workers can definitely come off as frivolous, as fake, as spiritual bypassing, or slapping band-aids on things. And I can admit, and I see the whole thin ice layering across the deep pool of light work. And it's very there. Please be aware of it. Know that there are negative entities who skate across that thin ice, with the deception that they're thick, that they're stable, and that you can stand on them, and they will guide you across and show you the way to the other side. But the river of consciousness, so to speak, in this metaphor, doesn't work that way, right? We only cross it one way, which is diving through and swimming on your own. Nobody carries you across. That vision is a lie. When you do the work yourself, you start to realize that. And your inner compass, your lie detector becomes so great that you see, the floating chunks of thin ice around, and you can call them for what they are. And you would never be silly enough to step on them and expect them to hold your weight. But that comes with practice. And so when we're newly waking up and we see these like flashing light worker signs with the glitter and all the saving and thinking that, everything's positive and sparkles and, understand that there's a very deep working under there that allows the positivity to rise through it, like evaporation, sort of, right? Because light work in itself, to be a light worker, means that you're using your energy, your love, your light, and like a beacon or lighthouse to guide others, to shine out there as a form of truth, to see what shadows are out there allowing themselves to be cast, to be seen, and in what way, so that you can guide the path of all and yourself with more clarity, right? Now this takes a shading of ways that we can work through or be light workers, right? Basically, it's service of others. So when you're helping others, or the great other, as I like to see it, source, God, right? All others, the other that does not exclude a single soul or being, the great other, right? All others. When we are working in service from that space, that is light work, okay? That's when you're shining your light. Now that can happen across all spectrums. Healers, doctors, nurses, caregivers are things that we immediately think of like light workers, right? Shamans, teachers, guides, even spiritual or religious ones, right? Not even if you're not religious or spiritual, the Gnostic teachers, light work can come in very not spiritual boxes as well. There can be people who are not consciously aware or awakened to, say, the structuring or the understandings of explanations, words, and things like the whole conscious age community, yet they're out there in the world of the 3D world, the industries, all of these things we see out there, the medical world, the educational world, the systems, the government. If you work at City Hall or in a prison or at a school or wherever you work for, anywhere that you're out there actually in the 3D matrix, right? They can still be out there shining their light and doing amazing work without really even standing for that word or even knowing the word light worker, but yet they still are doing it, So it's really just comes down to that underlying care. Then when you care for others, when you are trying to work towards a goal or purpose that is beneficial to all highest good, you're doing light work. You're a light worker. So another thing that can kind of get, and I want to highlight quickly, is like another distortion or sort of like a thing we slap right across light workers, is that it's all about just feeling good, putting a positive spin on things, putting rose-tinted glasses on, or ignoring the dark, or just casting it away, belittling it, stomping it out. That is not exactly how it works. It's more helpful to look at it as an energetic balancing, right? or even a chemistry sort of balancing, where we have these reactionary catalysts coming together and creating some sort of response or reaction in which the creation is then of both, right? I'm struggling, sorry. But the creation is a part of both. It has a combination of both. So true light work in the space of duality for humanity at this time, excuse me, it is not about the light overpowering and being so bright that it gets rid of all shadows. It forces everything to be seen. It's about the gentle glow that retains and allows space for the shadow to be seen as it feels, as it needs to be dealt with. It's a seeking of a harmonious balancing between the light and the shadow, to where it's a spinning harmonious constant, where the overall mean or charge, the polarity being collected on the whole, right, is over 51% positive feeling always, right? That is a fertile ground for positive growth in a dualistic space, because that's what we live in. That's what this world is, you know? And as a light worker, somebody who's coming down to shine their light to hopefully help people who are in darkness or in a darker space, right, that they've created for themselves, right? They have a more tunneled conscious awareness, right? Their spectrum of reality, their perspective is honed in. They only allow a certain view, right? And it can be for a variety of reasons. But anyways, the light is, we allow that. We see them for what they are and say, you know, they're on their own collective journey to gather more conscious awareness, to spiritually evolve at their consciousness, soul's speed and level, right? So true light work is honoring that, recognizing that in all aspects and shades of the light, because the shadow is light, just at a different shading. It's all quote unquote light because it's information, it's love source from original logos or the ether, God, whatever you want to call it, right? The creator. It's all of one thought and originality. So even though we're calling the side of the spectrum darkness or black, or we view it or envision it with the coloring of black, it's actually just another shade of less light, right? The white side is brighter. You know, we categorize it and envision it as white, clean, clear, because it helps us to represent that. It holds more knowledge, but we are in a dualistic space which embodies both. And so it can't be about one outweighing another. It has to be about that harmonious exchange between the two, just seeking this, the balancing in between. And so light workers, and yes, the spectrum's so dark right now that we need all our light workers to just really like get it and hone in and tone and shine their light as best as they can at this point, because the odds are unbalanced. The stakes are very high, right? We're approaching threshold of change. And both sides, the positive and the negative, really know this. So it's so important. If you resonate with that word light worker, if you're new to this, but it sparks a feeling within you, if you hear light work or shadow work and you get a tingle, know that's your energetic chords back, your harp of initial source, like stringing along, resonating with those words. There's a purpose in there that you should seek out for yourself. There's an avenue for you, calling to you somewhere. So go explore, look into that term in other places. Go see a variety of people who offer their light in a service to others, to guide for some way. You can put that shading on anything. Even if it's an artistic shading and it's not a direct care, you're not exactly helping others in a physical manner. Music, art, thought, writing, all of these other aspects, you can be embodied. You can be it can be as simple as being the best version of you in your daily life every day. Being a light worker to your own internal shadow every day. And that's a huge part of my work that I do to practice my own alchemy, right? Just to be an inner alchemist. So thank you so much for joining me for this episode on light work. If you resonate, I'd love to hear comments. If you have any ideas or something sparked your curiosity, feel free to leave a reply about it. I hope you'll catch me next time. I think 14, I'm going to focus on shadow work. So now we've talked about light workers and what that means, and then now we can flip it and talk about shadow work and get into a little bit of that. So I hope you'll join me for episode 14, and thank you so much again for joining me. If you haven't seen previous episodes in this series, go check out 1 through 12. They're great. I built them sort of sequentially, so ideas kind of grow, and you can kind of awaken to these terms a little slower. So yeah, thanks so much for joining me. I hope you have a beautiful day or evening wherever in the world you are. I'll catch you next time.